I've always wanted to do a project on Palm Island, I just wasn't sure what. So through watching the tapes, I kind of started to realise that anything that was about the Palm Island in the news was just all bad things.
It may look like a tropical paradise from the air, but according to a UK newspaper, on the ground it's a vastly different story. In a scathing 7-page article, the Sunday Times described Palm Island as a ghetto with shockingly high rates of murder, suicide and serious assault.
I think for me that was like a big step in going, okay, well, this is what, you know, all this media, all these tapes were about, you know, it's just all violence and whatnot. So I decided, you know, that the project would be about Palm Island. I think that understanding their culture is, you know, the next step to respecting their culture.
This major development going, it is going to cost some money, but keeping in mind that it's so close to the heart of the city, I believe that it can really work.
The video I saw had a councillor in it, and he was talking about how they were asking developers for money, and what ended up happening was the bridge was restored and the bridge was enclosed and turned into like a retail or office precinct, I think, at the time. Because now it's obviously not enclosed, it's changed again, they pulled all that down. And public conversations are still about revitalising the city, even as they were back then, about getting people into town. So I thought it's a good object to look at.
Despite the detrimental comments that people always made about the park people, I used to look at the park people and think, this is how it has been for tens of thousands of years. They sat under these trees at the riverbank, fishing, talking, and so this is the longest tradition we have.
When I saw this film of the sugar shed fire, it was kind of creepy and I liked that. This image here kind of, I guess it speaks to this one in that there's 5 figures and then there's 5 windows.
Everything was coming at us and we're trying to hold windows in, and just as I went to walk away the wall caved in. It was only by inches. I had everything so lovely for Christmas, but never mind, we'll start again.
The first television station in North Queensland, north of Brisbane. Now I want you to know that this is your station. This station is owned and controlled by over 600 people living in the viewing area. And I assure you that we'll be bringing you the very best in TV entertainment.
Hello there, all my special televisions. And here it is time for another Babes in the Woods.
From
those items that are on the archive, I was here. So I could speak from experience. So I chose 4 things that relate very strongly to my own life. So this is basically, you might say, a rendering of the TV image in black and white. And on this panel, there'll be writing and other documentary material that relates to me as the person experiencing that.
I chose to do the sculpture because it more clearly represented a structure, and I thought it would be more dynamic to experience. And the paintings, they've both been done with pencil, sketching, and then black paint from the tube. So it's very minimalist colour-wise. And then this one I used a brown black and then some lamp black mixed with, I think it was Viridian. So that's why there's some reds in the black. And then this is just titanium white. It's on raw canvas, so I was thinking about leaving it, but I needed it to feel hot.
The way I work is to initially visit, I guess, what I would call the site or the object, to make sure I see it personally and to collaborate with it or interact with it. And I do it at different times of day because the sun, the light and shade is going to be different at different times of day. I guess it's all an extension from an interest in the urban, and that led me to, when we were viewing the videos for this project, it led me to the one I saw, which was about the Victoria Bridge.
This is the baby that's been shooting the whole project. Exact same lens, exact same body, and all the exact same film stock, basically. What you'd call this camera is a 4x5 large format camera. You can shoot black and white or colour, depending on what negative you're using. And basically, just for visual reference, that's essentially the size of your negative. So the great thing about this, as opposed to something smaller, is you can pick so much more detail, so much more resolution out of that negative.
It's a great idea that they donated that archive, and I think it is also a great idea of the gallery of Jonathan McBurney to have thought of this project. It's a wonderful way of drawing attention to the fact that the archive is there, and also to draw attention to some of the history of Townsville.
Everyone knows everyone. Everyone respects everyone, and everyone kind of just helps out whenever need be, and I think that's just a wonderful spirit to have.
I think the videos are well worth keeping. I think they are an archive. I think Townsville is its own unique place, and I think it's worth looking at as an artist a bit closer. Yeah.